Shrimad's divine grace, founder of Iskana Bhai Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, granted out Shrimadbhagavatam ki, their most merciful Lordship Shri Harikunja Bihari ki, Shri Jagannath Shri Baladeva Shri Bhadra ki, Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal ki, Shri Gornitai ki, Nitai Go Premana. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord Spirit of Shri Guru Shri. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayam Jiraya
Jayam Dhiraye.
Nasta Praishu Badreshu
Namaskaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki.
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki.
Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 5. Okay. Tatra
Tatra
Brahmarsaya
Brahmasaya
Sarve
Sarve.
Tatra Brahmarsaya Sarve
Tatra Brahmasaya Sarve.
Devarsayas
Devasaya
Cha
Cha
Satama
Sattama.
Devarsayas Cha Satama
Devasaya Sattama.
Rajasayas
Rajasaya
Cha Katrasan Rajasayas Cha Tratrasan
Rajasaya Tatrasam.
Drastum
Drastum
Bharata
Bharata
Pungavam
Pungavam.
Drastum Bharata Pungavam
Drastum Bharata Pungavam.
Tatra Brahmarsaya Sarve
Brahmasaya Sarve.
Devarsayascha Satama
Devasayascha Sattama.
Rajarsayascha Tatrasan
Rajasayascha Tatrasam.
Drastum Bharata Pungavam
Drastum Bharata Pungavam.
Tatra Brahmarsaya Sarve
Tatra Brahmasaya Sarve.
Devarsayascha Satama
Devasayascha Sattama.
Rajarsayascha Tatrasan
Rajasayascha Tatrasam.
Drastum Bharata Pungavam
Drastum Bharata Pungavam. Tatra Brahmasaya Sarve.
Tatra Brahmarsaya Sarve
Devasayascha Sattama.
Devarsayascha Sattama
Rajasayascha Tatrasan.
Rajarsayascha Tatrasan
Drastum Bharata Pungavam.
Drastum Bharata Pungavam Tatra Brahmarsaya Sarve Devarsayascha Sattama Rajarsayascha Tatrasan Drastum Bharata Pungavam Tatra
Tatra
there Brahma Rishaya
Brahmasaya.
Rishis among the Brahmins
Rishis among the Brahmanas.
Sarve
Sarve.
all
All.
Deva Rishaya
Devasaya.
Rishis among the demigods
Rishis among the demigods.
Cha
Cha.
and
And
Satama
Sattama.
situated in the quality of goodness
Situated in the quality of goodness.
Raja Rishaya
Rajasaya.
Rishis among the kings
Rishis among the kings.
Cha
Cha.
and Tatra
Tatra.
in that place
In that place.
Asan
Asam.
were present
Were present.
Drastum
Drastum.
just to see
Just to see.
Bharata
Bharata.
the descendants of King Bharata
The descendants of King Bharata.
Pungavam
Pungavam.
the chief of
The chief of.
Tatra Brahmarsaya Sarve Devarsayascha Santama Rajarsayascha Tatrasan Drastum Bharata Pungavam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Acharna and Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Just to see the chief of the descendants of King Bharata, Bhishma, all the great souls in the universe, namely the rishis amongst the demigods, Brahmins and kings, all situated in the quality of goodness, were assembled there. Please repeat. Just to see the chief of the descendants of King Bharata,
Just to see the chief of the descendants of King Bharata,
Bhishma,
Bhishma,
all the great souls
all the great souls worlds
in the universe.
in the universe.
Namely the rishis amongst the demigods,
Namely the rishis amongst the demigods,
Brahmins and kings,
Brahmanas and kings,
all situated in the quality of goodness,
all situated in the quality of goodness,
were assembled there.
were assembled there.
Just to see the chief of the descendants of King Bharat, Bhishma, all the great souls in the universe, namely the rishis amongst the demigods, Brahmins and kings, all situated in the quality of goodness, were assembled there. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The rishis are those who have attained perfection by spiritual achievements. Such spiritual achievements can be earned by all, whether one is a king or a mendicant. Bhishma Dev himself was also one of the Brahma rishis and the chief of the descendants of King Bharat. All rishis are situated in the quality of goodness. All of them assembled there on hearing the news of the great warrior's impending death. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshusha Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. According to this verse, Grandfather Bhishma's austerities were known throughout the universe. And this act of love that he had taken to remain brahmachari all of his life, to the extent that Krishna, he gained the boon that Krishna had given him, which is an example to us that this is even available to souls. That he had given Grandfather Bhishma Dev the ability to choose when he left the body. And one would think, well, then he should just leave immediately. But no, he knew the appointed time as well to leave. So this planet that we're leaving from, going around as it is, or moving as it is, in relationship to the opening in the universe. There's an opportune time at which is the ideal moment. But Srila Prabhupada says in this age, due to the effects of the environmental circumstances and the karma that's in this age of Kali, Krishna automatically takes the devotee, so he doesn't have to be concerned in his mind about these things. So, even in past ages when it was required to have such knowledge to be able to even gain the acceptance into the heavenly planets, the instructions were given that one would stay in the association of those who are like-minded, and in doing so then one gains association with the Vedas, because it is the Vedas that guide us. But these great rishis, they are themselves making up what we are calling as the Vedas. And so every act that is taken part in by these souls becomes known as a great act that would allow these souls to be known throughout the universe. So the verse we're discussing here is such that rishis from all over the universe came to see Grandfather Bhishma's passing away from his body. This gives us a whole nother perspective as well. The fact that Grandfather Bhishma could choose gives us understanding that he's of a conscious nature at the time of his leaving his body. Now, it would seem as well that he knows where he's going, He's knowing the time to leave, but just as he on the battlefield, he desired to see Krishna's face. Then he's asking Arjuna as well at this moment, because Arjuna was his most favored student, same with Dronacharya, to bring the Ganges there to him. And so Arjuna, with his arrow, he shot into the earth and then recited the mantras necessary. And Mother Ganga came up from the earth to satisfy Grandfather Bhishma's need for liquid at that time. So this also is revealing the nature. He's part of the family. And remember now, Grandfather Bhishma, he's described as the son of the great king Dasrath, right?
Shantan.
No, not Dasrath. Who was it?
Shantan.
Santan.
Sanatan, yeah.
Santan.
Shanta.
Santana, yeah, Santana, yeah. And as having taken that vow of celibacy so that his father could have a family, a future family, then he became recognized throughout the universe. This fame was known. To find a place in the Bhagavad Gita where we might find about Grandfather Bhishma's. O son of Bharat, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind conditioned soul. And we can see that. See, Krishna has already freed Grandfather Bhishma from that. In this verse, the specific application of the word to is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. But the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad. And a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yata atnya manavarakam viparyaya jnana janakam tama. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died. Therefore, he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they're very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they're not much interested. Wow. They're not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance. So, see, being pointed out here is just the exact contrary to these sages. So, ignorance keeps one from being able to see the greatness around them. And when those who are in knowledge, as it's explained, these great sages were in knowledge, then they were able to see the greatness of Grandfather Bhishma as well. Now, it's saying that they came from all over the universe. So this again, over and over again, we're being reminded in these scriptures that it was common at the time of Krishna being here for this planet to be visited by people from other planetary systems, to be able to watch what Krishna was doing, because they knew him as the Supreme Person. Now, we have access to seeing the effects of the chanting of Krishna's names. Now, what we are lacking as a temple is our everyday going out and chanting. We're not doing that. And it is, we are seeing the result of that by not so many new people coming. Of course, we've just had Rath Yatra and this kind of thing. But Srila Prabhupada made the statement that you can tell the purity of devotees' lives by how many devotees they're making. So we're in kind of a binding situation where we seem to not have facility to train up brahmacharis. So people that are coming, like you guys are coming, but you're being given a lot of tasks to do, which is part of the submission process. But going out on the streets and chanting and distributing books is what Lord Chaitanya established this movement to be. Distribution of prasadam, like that. My later years, as I'm having great desires to want to do that, but physically not capable of doing the same things I was able to do when I was 30 or 40 years old. So my advice is that as much as you can now, take advantage of your physical capabilities to be able to go out on this Sankirtan movement for Lord Chaitanya, because that will be Jai Shri Radha Jai 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 Baladev Mahesh Bhadra Jai Shri Radha. That will be the time most perfectly spent in Krishna consciousness, because that's what Krishna consciousness is, giving. That's why Krishna came, to give, to liberate those who are looking for him. And this is what Lord Chaitanya's purpose in the Sankirtan movement is, to liberate people from the bonds. Srila Prabhupada's talking in here, while living in the modes of ignorance, they're suffering. And they suffer severe. That is brought about by karma, by karmic reactions, just in the act of survival. They, without knowledge of Krishna consciousness, they are forced to sin. You gotta eat to live, to survive. And whatever they are taking that is not theirs, that they do not offer, in return, they get the indebtedness from. And that indebtedness is accruing day after day after day. Every word coming out of their mouth is causing them to accrue more karma in their associations around the breaking of the four regulative principles. It's what all their socializing is about. Our socializing is about becoming deeper engrossed in love of God and purifying our hearts, our desires, and our aims in our lives. And yet there are those whose association is just the opposite. And it seems to them a reward To be able to break the regulative principles is a reward. Some people are thinking of it as. And as such, it brings suffering. So it's simply a matter of consciousness, which is what the whole movement is geared toward, Krishna consciousness, from I, me, and mine consciousness, which is the other alternative. Because even, what do they call, altruistic efforts towards the development of societal evolution, so to speak. You give to the poor, you give to the needy. Without included in the giving is the knowledge, then that can be used for the wrong purposes, and then we become implicated as well. But this kind of knowledge is lacking. What looks to be for the good in societal perspective of what good and bad is, many times the very thing that will cause the suffering. It's the same way they're making so-called solutions to problems, which are in many cases the cause of more problems. And the efforts being made towards these endeavors, it would seem, would automatically be that the energy itself would be towards fulfilling these things. But if it's tainted with desire by the soul and its false ego, so when it's tainted with that, then it corrupts everything. And then the people who are supposed to get the benefit, they don't. And it doesn't take much taintedness. But we have a gauge. The purity of our chanting is a gauge to know how close we're getting to Krishna, how much we are looking towards the chanting Krishna's name. This reveals to us what we are getting as a taste for the relationship, the chanting, the relationship is giving us. And so if we have that longing every day to be continuing with this chanting and looking forward to the time, we have with Krishna to chant, and to keep in our hearts the appreciation for all the things Krishna is giving us that will free us to make our efforts effective, to make our efforts produce the results we're hoping they will produce. For the most part, it would seem that people are making efforts in the way they would hope to benefit themselves. That's what the false ego is all about. But in that endeavor, without knowing what to do to gain the best benefit. So right now, because wealth is looked at as how much money a man has in his bank account, then people don't see the value of knowledge and wisdom to become free from the control of the modes of energy that people who are looking to be rewarded with the things of this material universe are winding themselves up in more and more and more each day, becoming entangled in, and then becoming better at entangling themselves. So the better you become at entangling yourself, the more you become famous in this world as having great success. You finally tied yourself up so you have to come back to this world again. And that's basically what the laws of karma are doing to us. As we seek to be fulfilled by the laws of karma, we submit ourselves over to the laws of karma. So as we seek to fulfill the desires of Krishna, we give ourselves over to the will of Krishna. So we have a choice in every act that we do. And those choices we're making that take us one step towards Krishna, we're going to be so happy we took at the end of this life. Krishna has taken so many more steps. Of course, it takes him only one step to get here. Now we're practicing worship of Krishna in this form. As a child, he steals the yogurt that the gopis leave hanging from the rafters of their storerooms. And they want to punish him because they don't know who he is. And then they tease him when he even suggests that he is God. And he takes great pleasure in that teasing. He takes great pleasure in having the soul removed from seeing him in other than a friendly manner. Because if we live constantly in fear, then we don't know love. And because Krishna is himself, the nature of Krishna is love, then we don't know him in his true state of being. And these pastimes that he engaged in as a child helps us to see what aspects of his personality he wants all human beings to know about, to be able to see him as the giver of happiness, the source of everything, and the revealer. He reveals in his family situations what ideal family should be. And he takes the position of an ideal naughty child. Srila Prabhupada said when a child is growing up until they're 5 years old, just let them do whatever they want to do. Then the time comes. But see, in that state, doing what it wants to do, a parent isn't able to see the thoughts of the child. It's just like when a teacher gives a child the instruction, I want you to draw a picture, anything you want to draw. So they draw a picture, and it reveals what is in the mind of the child. So when we read these pastimes, super soul, knowing what we're thinking, he's getting relationship from us like that too. So when we're thinking all these positive things towards him, that's establishing with him that friendship that we're longing for. We're looking for each other as friends, to be having friends. It's a natural inclination for the human being to seek friendship. So, but we can conclude then that the greatest, the top of that friendship would be the most perfect person, the supreme person, who has the development of all the most perfect qualities of human being that can be developed. And that's Krishna, that's the supreme person. And that's why, take away the title God from Krishna, and you still have stories that will impart into the consciousness of the reader aspects of etiquette, human dealings, psychology, and all these forms of energy that the mind is exposed to engage in. that will automatically pull it out because of its own nature. Krishna can't change his eternal nature. He's eternal like we are. We can't change the fact that we are eternal. And so the same way Krishna he reveals to us the nature he is. And in so doing, we realize that these qualities that he has are that we should aspire for. Without that, we wouldn't know what kind of human beings to be. And this is what's being left up to children in this day and age. They have to make themselves out to figure out what kind of a human being they want to be. They are not taught the kind of qualities to develop. Perseverance, controlling the mind and abstaining from certain thoughts, abstaining from certain activities, and not giving into the whims of the mind and the desires. Desires are coming from the soul, but when the soul intermingles with the material energy, even though it's separate from it, it can be enticed and given over then to creating more desires. The satisfying of desires, that's like everything people's living for, isn't it? Living, working, raising a family, all to satisfy the desires of their hearts. So where does God come into all of this? That's the question we have to ask. Are we making room for God? Does God have any place at all in our minds, in our ways of thinking, in our application of our physical abilities, in our jobs, in our workplace? Is there an application in the kind of work we're doing for principles of God? There are, it seems to me, a lot of people out there engaging in activities that will not produce an eternal outcome. Even though they believe themselves to be using their bodies for the greatest purpose it has been created for. Some of them don't even think the body's been created by a supreme intelligence. But this denial that there is a God denies the supremacy of the original person who is in control of everything. And so in denying that, then they deny themselves the ability to develop relationship with that very person, which this human form of life, as far as I can see, is unique with that ability to have consciousness that enables us to communicate and know that there is a supreme person to gain knowledge that we need to be able to know how to face the things in this world that we're facing on a regular daily basis. Because without knowing that he's there at every moment, we are leaving ourselves blind and absent from reality. So we're never alone. Even though we may think we're alone, that's also an illusion. So, constantly seeking to be better at what we are doing, that's Krishna consciousness. We are seeking the Krishna consciousness of our minds to be able to develop the proper perspective on how to carry out the functions of these bodies now that we have. Because now that we have knowledge of God, we have knowledge that we can do any function to its greatest extent possible with the application of God's knowledge to our lives. and to know that God can carry us through any set of circumstances, and we do not have to fear even death itself. Fearlessness is not a quality that's very much looked at or is not seen as an attainable state of existence. Right? People don't think of themselves as having the ability to live without fear. Certain fears are necessary for us to be cautionary and protective, but not fear that's so overcoming that we make determinations based on fear. We have to use knowledge as well. We're put into emergency situations. If we are constantly on a daily basis enacting our lives out of the mode of goodness, automatically the modes of goodness will take over. So what to speak of transcendence the same way. But transcendence is so rare in this day and age, and there is no talk of transcendence even. All talk that is going on is graded by the ability that that talk has to excite another human being in some manner or another, to evoke those emotions that are desired by human beings to be evoked. I want you to make me believe I am loved, or that you can give me some protection. These kinds of things, ideas go through people's minds when they're describing their heroes on the Hollywood screen. It's in effect what they're doing. Replacing every moment God is available to us. And rather than go to God, we will go to the Hollywood screen. We will go to the baker, the candlestick maker. I need this, I need that. Automatically putting ourselves in a place of wantonness. But to come into the presence of the Supreme Person and having that experience of complete fulfillment of life, because all protection is there, all knowledge is there, all strength is there, all knowing of the future, all knowing of the past. This is the nature of the Supreme Person. And as we remain on the path, we can know this consciousness of the supremacy of the Supreme Person is available to us at every moment of our lives. If we are willing to develop and train the mind to be able to conduct itself in the spiritual manner that these human forms are meant to conduct themselves, to be able to experience the highest forms of consciousness that they're also made for, highest being love, and various grades of love therein. A great book to know these experiences that we should be having with one another. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the nectar of devotion. Actually, I should have brought that up here in the next class. I'll read a few stanzas from the nectar of devotion, because this that we are experiencing with one another, by having set our priorities in our mind of who we will associate with and who we won't, then we derive, based on our own criteria, the experience we have from one another in giving our association, taking association. But most people, in order to use the criteria they do to develop friends, normally develop that on a mutual understanding that I can do something for you and you can do something for me.
Mutual understanding.
Mutual, right? And as long as you keep doing for me, I'll keep doing for you. But with Krishna, it's a little different. And this, that he's willing to go to the length that he has gone to bring us back from where we have run away from. This is a father's love for a child. And see, Krishna reveals a form of childhood that's completely opposite. Our nadis are so bad, we have to be driven out. His nadis are so cute, he can't be punished. It comes to the point of, he has done such bad things, but he's so innocent about it. And so, what can be done? Can't punish him. I was punished once in my whole life by my mother, but I was only like 5 years old. But I never did that again. I got stuck in the mud. First day of school, kindergarten, right? And it's raining. Got a brand new raincoat, yellow. I'm feeling invisible to the rain. And the big mud puddle. And I walked in the mud puddle, brand new boots, stuck in the mud, pulled my foot out. Boots stuck in the mud, barefooted now. They had me hanging up all my clothes in the room. They called my mother to come and get me. Boy, oh boy, she wasn't too happy about that. Children. See, children have a completely different way. And with their innocence, it's normally ignorance. And with Krishna, his all-knowing, he engages in these activities purposely to see how we'll respond to it. So, when we're dealing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have to realize that he's not like anybody else, not like any of our friends here. He holds everything there is in his hands, and nothing can take place without his jurisdiction, without his allowance. But he also has a tolerance level that he goes to. He has a limit. Once people break that limit, he can cut off their ability. And it looks to me as though wherever you go now, people are entwined, entangled in telephone. More so than they are the people they're with. See this? They're driving a car, and they're more entangled with the telephone than they are with driving the car. Stopped at a red light, and you have to honk at them because they're working on it. It's crazy. But see, in order to be corrected, sometimes when faults are allowed long enough, they build up to where it requires a drastic response in order for that thing to be stopped. And that's what this thing is going to do. We talk about the future, the melting of the caps. People think I'm, what do they call it? A theorist, fanatic, apocalyptic fanatic. But I've come to learn from experience, personal experiences in connection with other groups and nations of people, that activities are going around the world we have no knowledge of whatsoever, to actually change the environment purposely, because this planet is out of whack. The fact that we have such societies taking place in the kind of activities they're taking place in, even as nations, engaged in wars without causes, and frustrating the lives of so many human beings who would otherwise have purposes for their lives, but now have to go to war and protect themselves, defend themselves. This is borderline insanity. that animals don't engage in, for the most part, except when forced under extreme emergency situations. They don't normally have the instinct within them to kill one another. Yet human beings are going to great lengths to do whatever they can to kill other human beings. Gaining the ability over death, it would seem, one of those great abilities that very few souls ever attain the ability to make the determination of. And yet we see in the life of Grandfather Bhishma, his life was so pleasing to God that God gave him the ability to choose when he leaves his body. I mean, to me, making this known, this is Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, making these truths known opens up the mind to possibilities that it would not otherwise have. Who would think of such a thing as being possible, that you could choose the time you leave your body? Yet, this Bhagavatam is openly revealing to us that such an ability was given to a soul, but not only one soul, there are others who have had that ability as well. And so Krishna, in all the writings that are being made available, they're being made available so we can know what nature God is and how much He has done to bring us back to Godhead. All the import of Krishna's doing, as he says, he comes to deliver us. Annihilate the demons and deliver the devotees. So now by following Krishna, the deliverance automatically comes. Any comments, any questions, any realization?
Thank you.
God. Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.